There is new hope tonight in the fight against Alzheimer's. It's a blood test that could allow researchers to predict with about 90% accuracy if a healthy person will develop Alzheimer's within 3 years. That could lead to new treatments at earlier stages. Our chief medical correspondent, Dr. Jon LaPook, is with us here. John, this comes from the journal Nature Medicine. We know there's no cure for Alzheimer's. Researchers still want to know as early as possible if someone might get it, though, right?
Right, and the reason, Jeff, is people would say, well, why do you want to know if there's nothing you can do about it? The reason is, the thinking now is that one of the reasons why the medicines we're giving for Alzheimer's have not been successful is we're giving them too late in the disease. It's like giving somebody Lipitor after they've had their 5th heart attack and they're in heart failure. It's too little, too late. And the thinking is, if we give it way earlier in the preventive stage, maybe it'll be more effective.
This is a blood test. What's been done so far to diagnose?
Well, there have been scans, functional MRI, there have been tests of spinal fluid and even blood, but none of them have been accurate enough to say, okay, we're going to use this as a way of predicting if somebody's going to get Alzheimer's.
And what is it that's different about this particular test?
Okay, so what they did was they looked at more than 500 patients who were 70 and older, and they followed them for 5 years. And after 3 years, they took part of that group and they divided them into 2 groups. One were people who had started off normal and stayed normal, and other people were people who started off normal and then developed Alzheimer's or dementia. And then they looked at the blood of both groups. They looked at like 4,500 different molecules, and of those they picked about 10 lipids, phospholipids. Lipids are fats that are in the bloodstream, and they were able to come up with a panel of 10 that helped fingerprint, that helped say, this is kind of characteristic of somebody who's going to get Alzheimer's. That's fine. Now the question is, does it predict somebody who's normal who's going to go on to get Alzheimer's? So they had another group of people. Their blood was still frozen. They hadn't looked at them yet, and they examined that group. And it turns out that they were able to pick out 9 of 10 people who started off normal and developed dementia or Alzheimer's. Now the big question is, what about false positives? What about people who were normal and ended up having a positive test? In that, they found that 2 out of 20 people who are actually normal tested positive. So you don't want to have that. That's called a false positive. So there's a lot more work to do. These are early stages. And Dr. Fedorov from the University of Georgetown School of Medicine told me they're going to be doing other types of refinements, maybe adding genetic material in there. So it's hopeful, but it needs to be replicated. It's still very exciting research.
Jon LaPook, thank you very much.